Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Bigger Picture Radio Show. I'm your grateful neighbor, Mo Bigger.
And this is Lady A.
And once again, you're tuned to the greatest Jesus promoting show on the planet right here on your Pure Radio, 103.7 FM and 1320 AM. Now, Lady A, we have a special guest.
We do. We have a very special guest today. One of which, it's our first time meeting, but I am already impressed and in awe of and very proud of also. We have Mr. James Gandy of Hands and Feet Foundation. Welcome to the show, Mr. Gandy.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we hear that you are from Jacksonville. We always like to start off by getting an idea of people's background, where they're from, and, you know, making sure they represent the city that they are from. So you are from Jacksonville, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we aren't going to treat you any different. We want
That's
to
right.
we want to know how do the listeners know you're from Jacksonville? Like, what do people in Duval do when they're from
What's the
Jacksonville?
chant?
What's the chant?
Duval.
There it is. Excellent. Good.
I love it. I love it. Now, you did say offline you know how to beatbox, too. We'll get to that later. So you've been living here all of your life.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so give me a little bit of background, you know, where you come from, what side of town, and what it was like growing up in Jacksonville.
So I grew up in Riverside, which I guess is West Side, maybe. My mother was raising me and my little brother, and I was out of control little kid. I think 10 years old, I got kicked out of the subsidized apartment complex I lived in and met my dad at that point. I lived with him for a few years. That didn't go too good. I came back to Duval, and I think I was 13 then. I was buck wild, in trouble. I got kicked out of Georgia school system at
Kicked out of
13
Georgia.
years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
School system, wow.
Yeah.
Well, what did you do?
I was going to take somebody out on the last day of school.
Wow.
13. Yeah.
Take them out.
Take him out. He was a bully.
Mm.
So they caught me before it happened, and they just kicked me out of the Georgia school system, and I came back to Florida
Okay.
and wreaked havoc here. So I went.
Why was you so angry?
I had been molested as a child.
Okay.
I'd been beaten as a child. No father figure, really.
Wow.
Poor, very poor. I was stealing from the time I can remember getting on the bus. I'd steal mine before I got on the bus. So, neighborhood. I was a small kid. There's probably a lot of things involved in it, but I was an angry kid. I could have been the next school shooter for real.
Wow.
Yeah, and I went through a few rehab schools here. Darnell Cookman. I ended up at Jacksonville Marine Institute at 15. They adjudicated me as an adult, so I had to make that work, or they was ready to send me to prison. So I graduated JMI in 87, I think. I started college at 16 years old. That didn't work out. I started having kids, which I have 6 grown kids now. At 17, I started that. So kind of at JMI, it changed my mindset from being this kid who was going to be occupying the next prison bed. They already had ready for me to. A fella named Tim Carney talked me into believing in myself, not just what people had put into me, but I was a pretty smart kid. I just was using it the wrong way. And he was my handler. So anyway, he put confidence in me that I could do better than I was doing at the time. And I started making better decisions from then on.
Was he the first person that spoke into your life, or did you have people along the way that may have said things here and there, but he was the first person that actually really took the time to pour into you?
Yeah, I'd say that's correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, first one.
The first one.
So it was the thing of you just trying to, of course, locate where was the root of the brokenness
It was my family. My mom had to work all the time.
Okay.
I was getting in trouble, so she had reason to be upset with me. And, you know, I got the most swats in the school. I didn't care. I didn't feel pain.
Wow.
So.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
So now moving on, where did it occur when you realized that, hey, of course I need to think better of myself than I was, but then I need to get into a place where I receive Christ as my personal Lord and Savior.
So I'd been going to church most of my life, shipped on buses out to Trinity Church out there. But, you know, the candy was the best part of that to me.
Right.
The parties that they had, you know. So I'd heard about Christ, and growing up, there was really we didn't go to church, you know. There wasn't no Jesus in my life. So besides seeing that, and, you know, as a kid, it was more generic than anything to me. I was there because it was better than being in the neighborhood starving to death. So I saw Jesus in a man. I must have been about 30 years old. There was an old man that ran a little church over on 118th Street. His name was Pastor Cusick. And he did all the work on the church, and, you know, he was trying to sow some seed into me, even though things wasn't going so great in my life. And I started seeing Jesus through that man and his wife and what they did, not what they said so much. I got to see Jesus in action.
Yeah, right. And so that gave you the incentive to say, hey, I need to make Jesus Lord over my life, right?
Yeah, it did. I definitely started making better decisions and opening my Bible a little more and relying on Christ. So my relationship started deepening at that point.
Okay.
Up to then, it was really stagnant. I took my kids to church, raised them in church. We helped people, but I didn't understand who Jesus really was. I was looking for Jesus in the pastor, and it's kind of a hard thing to do. Thankfully, I found a pastor that reflected Christ at this point, and kind of gave me a basis of how to be a Christian. Kind of outside the church Christian. He, you know, a lot of what he did was for the neighborhood. It wasn't just to draw folks in to get a tithe check. Him and his wife had a genuine concern for relationship with Christ, seeing Christ grow in somebody. It really had nothing to do with money, and it was the first time I'd ever seen Christianity like that. So it started to manifest in me, and I went to some churches trying to get, my pastor died, and then I was kind of out there floating, and I found a church, and pastors preaching on the grace truths of Jesus Christ. And, you know, after 10, 12 years, that was leaving me short because he wasn't going out to the neighborhood. You know, it was kind of a social event we had. I raised my kids in it, and I felt like a Christian in the environment. I was showing up on Wednesday, and I thought I was a super Christian. But the people that I knew my last pastor had reached out to, this pastor wasn't. He was kind of had closed doors to his church. He didn't want these folks in there. And we'd bring them in, and they'd leave. And, you know, I didn't quite understand why. But anyway, we just kept going and learning. And me and my wife kind of got stable on Christ, and we ended up going to another church to try to find a pastor who was getting out there into the field. We did, and he preached real good, and we started a community center through that church, but we couldn't get the church involved, and we couldn't get the pastor involved was the biggest problem. At the end of the year, we decided to go out from there. So my relationship with Christ just continues to grow as I step out on faith.
And so basically, you know, as I listen to you, that first guy, the first pastor, he and his wife, they had such an example and an impact in your life, not only as far as feeding you spiritually and modeling the love of Christ to you, but you saw them go outside of the four walls and really show the love of Christ in a benevolent way towards people who were the down and outers, or considered to be the down and outers. And I think that is, who you would call like your spiritual parents.
Oh, yes.
And that kind of burst something in you from being, of course, a broken kid who didn't have too much of nothing, and then here it is. Now you're seeing this example and saying, man, there's somebody who really, really has the love of God. And now you're like, I want to pay it forward.
Amen.
And so you're like, okay, I'm going to these other churches, and everybody don't do it the same.
Amen.
And you're saying, okay, man, as a result of it, now Christ is trying to do a work through you, and he's doing a work through you, through your ministry, your foundation, Hands and Feet, which is pretty interesting. Did this come about, the name of it, even the whole, how can I say, the spirit of it? Did it come from the launching point of what you received from your spiritual father and your mother, the one who passed?
I'd say the name came from people identifying us as we did this first year in the community as being the hands and feet of Christ. Mm-hmm. I never really heard it presented like that, so it just kind of stuck with us when we left this church after the pastor told me in corporate America, not everybody knows the boss.
Say that again.
In corporate America, not everybody knows the boss. That's what my last pastor told me when I asked him why he had nothing to do with our kids program we had ran for a year. We took 22 kids out of 25 from D's and F's to A's and B's, and these were the most at-risk kids in our community. Mm-hmm. And his office was right next door to where we did all this at. And anyway.
Wow.
So, but nevertheless, you kept it moving.
Kept it moving. Me and my wife moved out of that building. After that conversation, we moved into a parking lot right down the street on Firestone and 103rd Street, and we started feeding people. So through that, God told me I needed to do more than feed their bellies. I needed to open that word up and start teaching it. Mm. So that was 2016, I believe. We started that in an empty parking lot. We were there for 8 months, and God gave us a building about 8 months into that, I think into 2016. We got our first building, a little 1,000-square-foot building on 103rd, 7478, 103rd Street, and through that we've been able to really blow up and minister to every need that there is in our community.
And I want to hear more of that, and I know I'm looking at my co-host here. She has a few questions for you, but we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come right back. It's the Bigger Picture Radio Show. Y'all keep it locked.
What's up, Jacksonville? I'm Erica Campbell of Get Up Mornings.
And you're getting a bigger picture with Anthony Mo Bigger More
on your Pure Radio.
You are tuned into Pure Radio, 103.7 FM and 1320 AM. The home of the Bigger Picture with Mo Bigger.
Hello, and welcome back to the Bigger Picture Radio Show. I am your grateful neighbor, Mo Bigger.
And this is Lady A.
And you are tuned to the greatest Jesus promoting show on the planet right here on your Pure Radio, 103.7 FM, 1320 AM. And I want to talk about some expansion that we're doing. Man, what you talking about, Mo Bigger? I'm talking about we are going on iTunes. Mm-hmm. We are going on Google Play. You can always access us on Google Play. But then we're going on iHeartRadio.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm very excited about that. Glory to God. Because it's all about promoting Jesus and the kingdom of God to advance all over the world. Glory to God.
Amen.
So now, but we're here with we're going to call you family.
Yeah.
I like you, man. Amen. You family, man. So now we're here with Mr. Brother James Gandy, Hands and Feet Foundation, West Side, and it's going to expand more and more, and it's expanding more and more. Amen?
Amen.
So, Lady A, you have a question for him?
I do. I want to point something out to our listeners about what Brother Gandy's talked about. And what I saw when you were talking is that when you talked about that the last pastor that you had that was right next to the ministry you were doing with all of those children, and never took, never had any participation with that, and how he made the statement about not everybody knows the boss. And how that one statement, is that the statement he said to you?
In corporate America, not everybody knows the boss.
In corporate America, not everyone knows the boss. And with that one statement, it launched you. It launched your ministry. And so often we think the negative things that are said to us or that happen sometimes that we don't necessarily like, we don't realize that that's really the launching pad for God to really start doing a new thing in our lives.
Amen.
And that's what happened with you and your wife.
Yes.
When he said that, you immediately said, okay, God has called us to do more, and we're launching off from what we were doing here. And from that very one statement that he made to you, look at what God has done.
Amen.
And
I thank him for it.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. So I would just want to point that out to our listeners. Everything that hurts doesn't mean that it's bad.
Wow.
It's a good point because we become complacent sitting in our church box.
Yes.
I did it half of my life. I raised my kids in the church box, and
The church box.
if it hadn't been for things that deviated our path, there's no way we'd be where we're at now. So I know God uses everything for his glory for those who love him. So I don't question any part of that, but when me and my wife started this after-school program for these at-risk youth, the thing with the pastor that I asked him, the only thing I wanted him to do was participate. Just let him know who God is. I was using my pastor as the person that they would see God in because I didn't feel worthy to do it. I was a tree man. I've been cutting trees my whole life. I just went in there and helped him start this thing he was talking about, but I forgot what I was saying.
Okay, but you're talking about...
You didn't feel worthy to deliver the word. You didn't think that you had enough word in you to be able to do so. You thought it had to come from the pastor.
Okay, so I didn't feel like I was the God person. I could go get these kids together. We could teach them. We could love on them, take them on field trips, but I still had sin in my life. So I just didn't feel worthy to be that person. So at the end of this whole thing, I waited. I was patient. We did what we had to do to get these kids through that year, and I waited to the end of the year to address the situation. But when I heard his heart, in corporate America, not everybody knows a boss, I knew I had to get up and move. I was too comfortable in this building. The people loved us too much in what we were doing. They were all praising what was going on, but it wasn't growing. It wasn't expanding. We weren't getting really folks out of the church involved. We had 2 or 3 people who were helping us, and it just wasn't really, it wasn't what we envisioned as seeing. We saw God doing miracle after miracle after miracle, but the church wasn't responding to it. It wasn't bringing laborers into the vineyard.
Right.
So I thank God for that, because there's no way I would have left that church if it hadn't been for, those.
Now, some people would call you a renegade.
He did. He called me a renegade, a rebel, a one-man show, don't care about anybody else but myself, is what he told me after those words went on, because I had started a PTA at Gregory Drive. I was trying to help my brother Terry Lane at Metro Kids Connection.
So how did you do the PTA thing?
Well, when we started with the kids, we had 3rd, 4th, 5th graders who couldn't even read Cat in a Hat books. So once we figured that out, I knew it, was coming from the school level. Me and my wife raised 6 kids, and I've been in PTA since my first child was in school. So I knew the importance of a PTA in a school, but, I knew there was a serious downfall somewhere. So I went to the school system to find out what was going on. At Gregory Drive Elementary, the Lextile point level for the kids is supposed to be 780 first 9 weeks of the 3rd grade. Well, I want to know what our kids' level was, and across the board it was about 360.
Wow.
which
Wow.
I mean, that's an average across the board.
Wow.
So I knew we needed a PTA in these schools. So me and my wife started a PTA at Gregory Drive. They hadn't had a PTA in 6 years at Gregory Drive when we started it. And, you know, we're just trying to figure out how. But in the process, I find out my teachers can't even fail these kids. Even if they don't put anything on the paper, they get a D. They're going to pass these kids no matter what, because that's what Nikolai Vidi's whole thing is, these kids graduating school. You know, biggest African-American graduation in history. But I got a kid that's in Robert E. Lee that got straight F's last year, and they still graduated him.
Wow.
So, you know, we found out at that level what the problem was. These teachers they got kids in the classrooms turning over tables, cussing them out, walking out of class, no cooperation with the parents. So we tried to become a step in the process between the kids in the school once I started the PTA. Just trying to give the teachers resources. They ain't even got money to print out homework in these failing elementary schools. They don't even send homework home no more in most of them because of the cost of paper. So, you know,
That's ridiculous.
yeah, and as we you know, tried to figure out how to help these situations, we're finding out where the system's broken. So we've just continued to try to fill gaps in.
And so now you and your wife, you personally, like, somewhat became like surrogate parents to these kids.
Yeah, we do this on the basis like Christ did it. We adopt these. We didn't just adopt the kids, we adopt the whole families. We started providing food for the whole family, clothing for the whole family. When Christmas came, the whole family got Christmas presents. I started getting cooperation with the parents at the school level so we could actually get the bad behavior to cease. We did field trips for these kids.
How many field trips?
We did 32 field trips the first year we started this. 32 field trips. Yeah.
32.
Yeah, golfing, swimming. All of our kids could ride horses from 7 years old up out the neighborhood. The ball games, basketball games. We got lots of pictures on the website. It's hard to remember everything, but
most of it was coming out of your own.
all of
dime.
it. The first year, all of it came out of our pocket. Every bit of it. I'd raised a little bit of money, and the pastor ended up stealing that from me. So I got a tree service, and I was able to fund it the first 2 or 3 years, actually.
And you're still feeding people,
Every day,
and you're still clothing people,
every day.
and you're still taking the time out to actually help kids get learn how to read, right?
Yep.
And all of this other stuff, and making sure their grades come up. Now, how many kids have you helped?
That's hard to put into a number, I'd imagine. We have over 200 kids that I have access to in lockdown facilities within an hour from here that we work with. And we probably work with 40 or 50 kids out in the neighborhood. Then I worked in Cleveland Arms. We was out there last week doing a big concert with the Extreme Tour. We had 20 artists out there across from Cleveland Arms. And I think 6 or 7 of my kids walked up to me from there from working at Metro Kids Connection. So
You have many kids, man with many children.
yes, sir.
Modern day Abraham.
Yes, sir.
Wow, man. So, I mean, now for as sponsors, how do we, how can people get in touch with you to become like a sponsor to your ministry, man? You're not just talking about the good that need to be done. You're literally like what your ministry is, hands and feet.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, so how can people get in contact with you?
So the best way to see what we're doing is to get on Facebook, Hands and Feet Westside. We've been documenting what we've done for at least the last 3 years on there. You can go back. We do a lot of videos and pictures. We also have Hands and Feet Stark on Facebook. We started a Hands and Feet there about 3 months ago. That's going really good. We do that on Sundays. So I think there's a link on there to be able to donate to us if you'd like to.
And now you have other are you partnered with other people here in this city who help homeless people? You want to name a couple of your partnerships?
Okay, so we have a group called North Florida Ministry Partners. I think there's about 70 of us right now from around Duval County that I've drawn together from over the years of me being out here and doing what I do. I've seen people who are doing the same kind of thing that aren't money motivated. So we have over 70 of us in this group that are doing things around the city in Jesus Christ's name. That's one of the biggest things we got going on. It's a closed group, and if somebody needs a house or needs a house furnished or has stuff to give away or whatever the need is, we post it, and we pretty much take care of needs almost immediately on this website. But it's everything we do is Christian based, and the requirements of being a member are that you believe in Jesus Christ and that we have all things in common, because we're not going to look like city council up in there when we have our meetings.
Right. So you're on a committee too, right?
Yeah, I'm on the mayor's downtown homeless task force subcommittee. We're trying to figure out how we can better serve the homeless people downtown. And by coming together, obviously, we're going to do a better job of this. A lot of ministries do their own little thing. So the mayors draw together some of us in the community that are doing this to try to not have such a big area of homeless people in one area, is what I'm gathering is what it's mainly about.
And so, but you have personally assisted you got like 40 people off the street or more?
So we're right now we're helping probably 3 people on average a week get off the street, which is over 150 a year. The last 2 years we've helped over 100 people get off the street. Veterans. We do a lot with drug addiction. We're in the middle. They call us Ground Zero, where our building is sitting for the opioid addiction in Duval County. We're losing 2 people a day into 32210.
Elaborate
on the west
that.
side.
Yeah.
West side. So, opium, heroin. So pain pills really led to a big epidemic in our community. Synthetic heroin. And at this point, we're dealing with about 2 deaths a day in the 32210. I mean, it's an epidemic. It's unbelievable what's going on, but we're trying to send people to Jesus-based rehabs instead of medically assisted programs. There's lots of money for medically assisted program if, they can put you on another pharmaceutical drug, but to send somebody to Jesus Christ fix this problem just isn't happening in our city, really. So that's one of the main things we do. We work with over 25, 30 rehabs around the United States that will take people for free, Christian-based discipleship programs. And we do whatever we got to send them. We'll put them on a plane, a train, a bus, drive them there ourselves. So that's a big part of our process. But I mean, for the epidemic we're dealing with in our city, we're way behind the ball because we're using doctors to help get us out of this. I got a program called Project Save Lives right now, and in the first year of the program, they were actually giving people Suboxone, Subutex, and Vivitrol to come off of heroin. So we had people coming in from all over the state, out of state, to get on the free Suboxone program at Gateway. And that's how our city was trying to fix this. They call it Project Save Lives, but really, if you're just putting somebody on another drug to try to get them off another drug,
Creating another addiction.
I tell people to keep shooting heroin before they get on this stuff. They got a better chance. It's only a 7-day detox to come off heroin or pain pills. To come off Suboxone is similar to methadone. It's like a 30-day detox. It seeps into your bones. It is. My wife went to the emergency room 3 times in a 7-day detox coming off of Suboxone to the emergency room. So if you do the math on what that's costing the taxpayers to get the people off this new drug that they're trying to get them off of, which is the same as methadone, the same doctor that's been prescribing methadone for 12 years is who they went to help get us out of this crisis. We got to do something different as Christians. We got to use Jesus Christ as a solution instead of the doctors who got us into this problem.
Amen. Amen. We're going to take another break. We're going to come right back with our brother James Gandy, Hands and Feet Foundation. Y'all keep it locked. It's the Bigger Picture Radio Show.
Keep it locked to the bigger picture. You are tuned into Pure Radio, 103.7 FM and 1320 AM. The home of the bigger picture with Mo Bigger.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Bigger Picture Radio Show. I am your grateful neighbor, Mo Bigger.
And this is Lady A.
And you are tuned to the greatest Jesus promoting show on the planet right here on your Pure Radio, 103.7 FM and 1320 AM. Let's get back into it, man. We're here with our brother, James Gandy, Hands and Feet Foundation. Sir, you have given a lot of information of what's going on in our community, and you're offering a lot of assistance and hands and feet, Jesus hands and feet, to help people within the community. Now you also what else you got going on, because we don't even stop here. What else you have going on?
So one of the biggest things about us are we're all volunteers. You know, this is not a singular effort. This is Christians who are showing up and being the hands and feet, and it not being a money-motivated kind of thing. So I'd say one of the biggest things we got going on is we're bringing pastors up out of their boxes to the street level to interact with the least of these.
Yes.
So in the last year or so, we've really seen a big reception from some of our local pastors wanting to do more than just talk about it. They're getting involved. They're showing up to some meetings. They're getting into the conversation about how they can, what one pastor said, he's been in the way all this time. Now he wants to be in the way.
There you go.
So one of the biggest things I think we're doing is really trying to unlock some of these churches to get out here. You know, a lot of churches, half their budget is missions overseas somewhere. But they're stepping over homeless people to get into their church that they don't want in their church, and they ain't getting in their church.
Wow.
So to me, if we can unlock these churches, if we can find pastors who will buy into this, who will set up a little table in front of their place to feed people and to give them some clothes, find out if they're a drug addict or a veteran or, you know, whatever their case is, so we can cycle them into a system that can give them some service, then we can really, really get some kingdom work done in this. So to me, that's one of the biggest things that's going from this right now.
I was thinking about Matthew 25. And of course,
540.
And when Jesus is like, many are gonna say, when did we see you sick or naked, or when did we see you like that? When you did it unto the least of my brethren, you did it unto me. And that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing, because I think when you make church this little religious organization, and the heart of Jesus is not in that particular organization, where it's all self-centered to make people who attend better, but not benevolent enough or thoughtful enough to go out and be the hands and feet of Jesus to people who don't even know about Jesus. that's a sad thing. And I don't believe that Jesus actually established what he calls the church in the earth to be just a group of people to just sit up, get fat, bless me clubs, all of this type of stuff. I believe that God has called us, the church it's established. It says the fivefold ministry is established to mature you, perfect you in the things of God for the work of the ministry. Well, what is the work of the ministry? You got to get out and tell people about Jesus and show the love of Christ to people. And that means bringing your message along with your money, along with your hands, your feet, and showing people that, look here, Jesus has given you value. You don't have to die in your drug addiction. You don't have to die in your situation where your mother and your father forsook you and everything like that. We, instead of depending on a government to be the church, we as the people of God supposed to be the church to people. And that means we need to get outside of ourselves, outside of our comfort zone, as he said it, church boxes, and actually get out there and show the love of Christ to people. So now you also mentioned to me offline that you're also ministering to homeless, teenagers, in a sense, for it's like who live in gang houses. And I think you made mention of a situation where the young sister was outside. You recall that?
Yeah. We deal with really at risk. I hate to say exactly what some of these circumstances are, because some of my kids will be listening to this.
I got you.
My heart, I've been working with gang kids for 25 years. So my heart is for the kids whose parents aren't, watching them. They really ain't got no
skill set.
No, and they gonna be homeless soon enough. And some of these kids in these lockdown facilities that we work with, they're already grown men. When they get out, they got to have somewhere to go to. They got to have a job, like you said, some kind of skill, something that they can rely on. Mm-hmm. So we work with those kind of kids, the ones that most people aren't gonna work with, can't work with.
And you ran into several difficult situations or scenarios where you think it could have potentially put you and your family's life at risk?
Oh, that's every day.
Yeah.
That's every day. The people we deal with are heroin addicts, dope dealers, prostitutes, gang affiliated, fresh out of prison. That's our people. And we adopt these guys from the first day we meet them. So our lives are definitely on the line. In order to keep hands and feet functioning properly, to be able to feed them and do a church service every day, it can't be like the jungle. So I had to be able to keep the people who would make it the jungle. I got to run them off, and they'll be sitting across the street cussing me, threatening me, whatever, but we just pray for them when we get on with it. If God is for me, who can be against me? And my wife's kind of bought into that, thank God.
Wow, man. So what's next? What's on the horizon for you all?
So we want to see these little buildings pop up everywhere. Any neighborhood that's got a need, that has at-risk youth, that has homelessness, that has drug addiction, they need to have what the Bible and Malachi describes as the storehouse, a place where people are bringing the tithe and offering enough to supply the least of these with what they need, and not in a way that, you're just giving any old body anything, but certain basic needs people need. So, we when they come by us on the street, we call them off, we feed them a good hot meal, we tell them we love them, Jesus loves them, we provide clothes, hygiene products right then, immediately, and we find out if we can help cycle them off the street with resources that are out here all over the place. So we want to plant these all over the United States. We want these all over the world. Just, to me, this is the storehouse of the Bible where people can come and see God's goodness. He says, bring this stuff and prove me.
Yeah.
You know, he don't say bring the stuff and prove the preacher.
Yeah.
Or the staff. He said prove me. So to me, this is us as Christians proving God worthy. Everything we do for 5 years now, it's cost a little bit of money, but we are on a shoestring budget as they come. There are so many resources out here available that we can reach out to that we don't have to dip in our own pocket for. So we want to bring these resources to other people like-minded. We just started one of these in Stark. We got another pastor in McClenny right now. He's got a building across from the courthouse in McClenny. He's interested in starting one of these. So, you know, this don't require much money. This requires an empty, abandoned building somewhere nobody's using that we can move in on a street where there is need, and then we can just start pulling, hey, how can we help you? How can we help you? So that's what we're trying to do. This ain't again, this runs on volunteers mainly. You're gonna we give a little bit of money to our volunteers here and there as they need money, but most of them got a little bit of money coming in, and it's not a burden to us to have 3 volunteers. So real, you know, 3, 4, 5 people can make this work in your neighborhood. With Jesus Christ being the foundation of it all. That this is what we want to do. We have a rehab facility, a discipleship program for ladies, but that's not our big goal, is, you know, rehabbing people. Our big goal is bringing people to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Real relationship where they're going to get out of their church boxes and do ministry like Jesus did it.
Amen. Now you also assist vets, right?
Yes.
Give me a little bit of background on that.
There are so many resources for veterans. I just keep hearing on the news, Home Depot just gave them so much money they could take care of all of our vets in Duval County. Somebody else was just on the news yesterday donating so much money they can take care of all the veterans. There was already so much money in our budget from Obama for our veterans that there should be no homeless veterans anywhere. These guys should have everything they need, but what they need, a lot of our PTSD vets, they need somebody to act as a parent for them in this process to keep them from falling through the cracks when they lose their phone or they forget about their appointment or, you know, whatever. There's so many things that happen that will take one of our veterans from being able to get all the help he needs to getting none, to being homeless, to being hopeless, you know, hating his government because his government ain't doing nothing for him. But the fact of the matter is there are more resources for veterans than anybody else out here. I mean, they just got money stacked up. I don't know what they're doing with it, but we can fill the gap by getting these guys to the resources. So that's something we're really good at, is if you've got a homeless vet that wants to get off the street, we can get them off the street. We can furnish their apartment with stuff. We can help veterans with money for vehicle repairs, tires.
Wow.
I mean, anything they need, the resources are here, and they should be being taken care of. 1 out of 3 of our homeless is a veteran. Wow. 1 out of 3, and suffering from PTSD, period. So,
wow. Yeah. So how do people get in touch with you again?
Hands and Feet Westside on Facebook.
Okay.
Would be the best way. I hate to put my phone number out here because ain't but one of me, and it's already ringing off the hook.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we are so happy to have you here.
We are, yeah.
And
honored.
Man, this right here, I pray that many of you who are listening and you're saying, man, I got money sitting aside, and man, I just want a ministry, man, where I can pour these resources into, man, come right here. James Gandy, Hands and Feet Foundation, Westside. Go on Facebook, look them up. Man, support. We have people who are foot soldiers in the middle of all of this mess that's going on that's making a difference. Some people talk about making a difference, but we have somebody and a group of people right here that are saying, no, we're doing it. We're hands and feet into this thing, man. So once again, we thank you, sir. We thank you, brother. You're our brother. in Christ. Anytime you want to come in here and share whatever God is doing with you and in your ministry, man, you have open door. You have an open door.
I appreciate it. I like to put a shout out to my wife, Amy Gandy.
Yes.
She is an awesome individual. She's a recovering drug addict. And that's where we kind of plugged into this drug part of this thing. But she is the heart and soul of Hands and Feet.
Praise God.
And
next time, let's get her on.
I need y'all praying for my wife, y'all, because
Okay.
this is a big deal. It's a lot. We do this 7 days a week, and neither one of us get a paycheck. And
Yes, sir.
you know, we need to be able to keep doing what we're doing. I'm not asking for money from nobody. I ask for prayer. That's what I need. I need prayer and participation. If you want to give your money, then give it. But I don't need your money. God's got all the money in the world anyway.
Yeah.
But
He want to use people to get it to you, though.
and that's good, and I'll take it. But
There you
but
go.
what we really need is laborers. You know, the Bible says the fields are heavy, but the laborers are few. And all that we've done thus far, that's what we see. We see a few. We got volunteers. We don't have many volunteers, but that's the heart and soul of what we do. And a special shout out to my volunteers out there, and Rich and Lee Norton, our music people, good friends of mine. But you know, this is a get your hands into it and get involved kind of thing. And I thank God for these folks who have sowed into this that away.
Praise God. Now, would you do us the honor and close us out in prayer?
Yes, sir. Dear Lord, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this time allotted for this message, Lord. I just pray that it would tickle somebody's ears into getting out here into the field, Lord, because you tell us this might not be the last day we have, and it might be the last day we have, Lord. We just don't know. So I just pray that we look at this like this could be the last day, Lord, and that, you know, we don't want one person to go to hell because they don't believe in Jesus Christ. So
Yes.
I just pray that we get about Jesus's business and be the church we were intended to be. And I thank you for the folks that do this radio broadcast and the people who support it, Lord. Pray all these things in your Son's precious name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Glory to God.
Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in with yours truly, your humble neighbor Mo Bigger. Remember, you're more than a conqueror through Christ. Show some Jesus class love and life gets clearer when we get the bigger picture. Until the next time, God bless.
Hey everybody, Johnny Van Zandt from Leonard Skinner here with the sign of Hands and Feet. We want you to go out and donate. We want you to go see them. God bless each and every one of you. Support, support, support.
Amen.
Amen. Hey everybody, Johnny Van Zandt here from Skinner. Hey, I want you to donate to the Hands and Feet West Side. West Side's the best side. There you go. That's where I was born at. Anyway, hey, listen, they're feeding homeless vets, homeless people, helping people recover. They're a good organization. Don't forget, donate to the Hands and Feet West Side. God bless.
Hello everybody, I'm Amy Gandy from Hands and Feet Foundation. It is a nonprofit organization, 501c3, that my husband and I started 4 years ago. What we do is we feed the least of these. We help the least of these in our community and everywhere else if they want to come. We have hot meals every day from 12:30 to 2. After we eat, we have a Bible study every day. We have clothes, food. Once a month we have free doctors, free psychiatrists, a free optometrist, dentist, and these are real licensed practitioners. And we have haircuts on Mondays. We help people get into rehab and detox from drug addiction, life on the street, where they need help. We have homeless shelters that we facilitate with, that if they want to get off the street, we help homeless veterans get off the street because there's no reason they should be out. And how we do all this, we do it for free from donations, volunteers, and from people like y'all. We would like for you to look us up on Facebook, Hands and Feet Westside. We'd like for you to look at our website, handsandfeetfoundation.org. Our address is 7478 103rd Street, Jacksonville, Florida, 32210. The Bible says that when you have done unto the least of these, you have done unto me. Thank you.
Hey everybody, everybody go to handsandfeetfoundation.org and support them. Don't forget, support. For the Son of Man who came to seek and save the lost. Luke 19:10.